What If Deku Was Kryptonian Part 3 Reboot. And honestly, guys, bro, let's just say the man, the myth, the legend, the black-haired, red-eyed hobo from space is finna throw some hands with Superman. Jesus Christ. Damn. I need my meds. Let's dive right into this fan fiction. And I'm pumped for this. I'm about to make this one a long one, you know what I'm saying? I've been hitting you guys with the 20-minute videos, but I hit you guys with a little bit more of those longer videos you've been asking for a few months back. Let's get into it. So, I last left off after the combat training. And what happened in that continuity, the only thing that really changed other characters is that I will be introducing a new Superman villain in this universe and in this episode, plus a couple other plot points and storylines. And let's just say it's going to be a lot of emotional drama between a lot of characters, and this whole story is going to be basically a pushing motivation for Izuku's character to make him more like Superman, to make him more of those ideals and those emotions and those it's a star man in the sky type emotions, basically making, well, Deku more of a Superman-like hero, him doing whatever it takes to save lives no matter what, even if he has to put his whole life on the line. So basically, we get seen to, well, space actually, before we get switched to My Hero universe, or Earth. We get switched to space as we see that it's some sort of man on a space bike, Ghost Rider type shit, as he's riding around the galaxy. As eventually called up by an outside source by some sort of man in a helmet. He gets called by an outside source saying that it's something that they need to handle and something that he needs their help with. And he's confused, saying that I need you to handle a rogue Kryptonian on Earth. As he says, Kryptonian? Those guys were extinct a long time ago. The man continues saying, well, they were, but I guess they were able to save one. So I need you to take it down and, well, take care of it. It seems to be a threat to our humanity. So I need you to get rid of it and take care of it. Lobo gets called up for that as Lobo starts his journey to Earth. Now we get switched back to Earth as, well, yeah, I just, pretty much spoiled the name, but it's Lobo. So we get switched to Izuku Midoriya. Izuku will be walking back home, or be walking to the house, or not house, but walking to school after he would get dressed for school that day, as his mom would have told him to be safe. Izuku walking back to school as he would have been walking in class, as eventually they would be interrupted by not Ida, but Aizawa would have told everybody that they're going on a little bit of a field trip to the USJ, as everybody would have been talking about the USJ, saying that it's a huge train facility and heroes use it all the time. Eventually we get switched to them going into the USJ bus and them on their way down there. Then we're going to be talking about people's quirks and their abilities and all sorts of other things, just small talk, as eventually they would have started to focus on Izuku, saying that Izuku's probably the strongest person in the class, and his strength and his speed is like super immeasurable. Everybody starts glazing, hard. Bro, they're going crazy. They're going crazy on Izuku's dick. They're meat riding him, bro. Meat superb. Giddy up horsey on him, bro. Goddamn. Let that nigga breathe, bro. What are you doing? But they basically start saying that his quirk is super strong, that he could possibly give mainly everybody in the class one for money. Saying that Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku are probably the strongest members in the class. They start talking a little bit more, as eventually they're interrupted by when Aizawa gets to the USJ and tells them to all get out. Them having all their hero costumes on, as you know, Deku's hero costume is, well, this. We all seen it, part 2, if you've seen part 2. But we see how Izuku gets ready, as everybody starts to talk a little bit and starts to scatter around, as Izuku eventually walks around as he comes across the USJ, being honestly surprised and in awe about everything he sees. Eventually, Izuku and everybody sit down and start to relax. Not relax, but they start to get talked to, well, 13 about what's going down and how they're going to be trained about, well, natural disasters and training how they would react in these situations, them talking a little bit. But eventually Izuku feeling something off. He would have heard a spark. He would have looked over as a huge black hole would have opened. Heroes being, honestly, not heroes, but Aizawa and 13 being shocked by this, and villains starting to pop out. And Shigaraki and some sort of big, bulky Nomu, some sort of shadow quirk guy, popping out a portal. As he would have started talking, basically saying that we're going to take them out and to get the students now. As they start to basically bum rush the students. Now, Aizawa tells 13 to get him out of there as Aizawa starts to throw hands, starts to box him up, two-piece biscuit type shit. No drink, no bev. As he started to run off, as eventually, Kirigiri jumps in and absolutely drops the absolute bomb on 13 after Bakugo and Kirishima would have tried to jump in and take them down. They would start to throw hands with them back to back to back. Eventually, them getting pushed off. Eventually, them being separated by Kirigiri's quirk. Them all getting separated around the entire map of, the USJ. Eventually, we get switched to Izuku being falling down near the water area. Izuku starts to fly around and he flies up as he gets hit by a water projectile a few miles away as some sort of person with a water sniper quirk. As this is a new type of character, but he just has a unique quirk. He starts to snipe Izuku as his water ability allows him to shoot water bullets out of his hand, and basically his eye gives him a type of, built-in lasering targeting system. So he just starts to shoot high-pressure water bullets towards Izuku. It's not hurting Izuku per se, but it's disorientating him. Izuku starts to fly around as eventually he flies behind the boat as the villain starts to shoot the boat. Him eventually getting knocked out by a huge explosion behind him by Bakugo. Now, Bakugo's whole story changed a little bit more since his quirk is a lot more stronger in this continuity, and he really has to hold back when he's fighting next to people, so he's even more more angry when people are next to him trying to help him. But he knows at some points, he can also run out of steam or run out of engine. So he starts to fight a little bit alongside the help of Kirishima, as eventually they're taking down villains left and right, as one type of chameleon dude tries to pretty much team up on them, but they take him out pretty quickly, as Bakugo throws a huge explosion covering half of the entire room, charcoaling this dude to smithereens. Eventually they take out everybody up in there. They start to make their way down the stairs of the building they were taking the villains out, and he looks over before he walks down the stairs to see Deku. As they say that he can handle himself, Kirishima was saying that we might want to help them, but he says that he's good. As they start to walk away, Bakugo basically walks away as we see Deku looks around using his X-ray vision or his super vision, because Superman has that power so far, as Deku realizes he can see farther, but he just chalks it up to a new power. But basically he starts to try to zone out of this new power because he's just seeing stuff up close left and right, and his vision is kind of disorientating him. He eventually gets helped up by Froppy since he's on the ground, wheezing because he doesn't know how to control his sight now. But eventually his sight goes back to normal as Froppy helps him up, as Froppy says, "Are you okay?" As he says, yeah, I'm okay. He grabs Mineta and Froppy and says, "Hold on," as he flies over to the sand area or the dock area from the water port, as they basically get told to run, then get somewhere safe, as he wants to help everybody else. As he flies up in the sky, he starts to fly around the USJ. Him getting hit by multiple projectiles around the USJ by multiple different villains because they're just seeing some kid fly in the sky and they're seeing him as a threat. As mainly all the villains were tipped off, saying that Izuku Midoriya was one of the strongest students in Class 1A by an outside source. So he starts to fly around trying to dodge all these projectiles as fast as he can, as people are starting to not be able to see him, as Izuku's starting to pump the brakes up. He's starting to pump the gas up on this speed. It's just to fly around in multiple times, multiple minutes, and multiple seconds faster than the human eye can possibly keep up with, as the projectiles are barely even coming towards him. Izuku flies down and basically lands right in front of Shigaraki and punches him dead and square in the face. Shigaraki eats that like a biscuit meal, bro. A Popeye's biscuit, no bev, but bro got a salty mouth, you know what I'm saying? But he starts to get boxed up, pieced up by Izuku. Izuku eventually gets touched by Kirishima. No. Yeah. He gets touched by Shigaraki. Pause. But he eventually just dodges out the way before Shigaraki can use his quirk on him, as he hits him upside the forehead again. Shigaraki gets mad as he just grabs Izuku's cape and tries to decay it, as Deku basically yanks his cape out of his hand and tries to pimp slap him, but he gets hit by a huge crushing blow by some sort of tall figure as he gets sent flying. Izuku gets sent flying into the ground as he gets back up, and he looks over as he sees the Nomu. The Nomu walks over to Izuku and tries to berate him with punches after punch after punch, and he's getting pummeled down to the ground. Izuku hasn't really fought anybody even close to his level of strength besides Mirio and All Might, and even then, they were holding back slightly. With this newfound basic strength just hitting on Izuku's body starts to go into adrenaline level, and his quirk and his powers, or his kryptonian genes, start to absolutely go into overdrive, trying to keep him alive. Izuku's eyes open up as his eyes light up as he tries to laser the Nomu's arm off. As he successfully does it, but the Nomu grows it back, grabbing Izuku with his new slimy regrown arm, as he throws him into a bunch of railing on the side of the water area and chucks him into the sky of the ice, or not the ice, but the glass dome, and he grabs him before he comes out of the USJ and absolutely power slams him into the ground. Izuku's coughing up blood slightly. Izuku just says F it as he tries not to hold back, as Izuku mainly has fought other people like Mirio and All Might, using his strength and using his different abilities, being able to mimic certain powers and moves a one for all or all for one can do. But he mainly has been trained to hold back because that mental barrier keeping him from going full on strength, just completely going off the rails, has been keeping him at bay for so many years. As now that he knows that his friends are in jeopardy and that his people can be killed right here and he can even be killed right here, he tries to fight back. Before he can do that, Shigaraki basically sicks the Nomu on a couple other students trying to jump in, as basically Kirishima and Bakugo try to jump in against the Nomu, as the Nomu grabs Kirishima and throws him dead in the ground. Barely. His hardening was able to keep him alive slightly. If it was the impact and his hardening weared off, he would have died instantly. Kirishima gets kicked. Not Kirishima. Kirishima gets kicked off to the sidelines over near the middle pipes from earlier that Deku was literally railed against, as we get switched to Bakugo throwing explosions after explosion after explosion towards Nomu, pushing Nomu back, as Bakugo starts to throw more explosions and more explosions, pushing off, small mini nuclear explosions dead against the Nomu. Izuku sees this as Bakugo is pushing his body to the limits, trying to keep his explosions to a minimum, not trying to destroy too much around him, not to kill everybody or kill him. Bakugo is pushing his body to the limits around this time, as his hands start to burn up a little bit. Bakugo gets grabbed by the face, and the Nomu is about to crush his skull, but Deku sees this, and his split second, his heart races, as everything around him starts to slow down. Izuku speeds over towards the Nomu and punches a hole through its heart and rips it out. Everybody is shocked by this brutality, this absolutely gruesome display of brutality, as Deku crushes the heart and grabs Nomu and flies him up into the sky through the dome. He tries to fly him up as high as he possibly can, as he passes by some sort of figure with a bike. As he starts to pass by and basically just burns the Nomu to an actual freaking crisp when he flies out of the atmosphere. The Nomu's still alive and is trying to regenerate, as Deku sees that it's another option. He flies back down, his eyes glowing bright red, brighter than they've ever been. As Izuku flies back down farther and farther and farther and farther as high as he possibly can, and him burning the Nomu up to a smithereen. As Deku's suit is built to be very durable, but it's still not keeping up with the speed as Izuku's putting it on it. His cape's starting to sizzle away a little bit as Deku just stops in his tracks as the Nomu falls to his death and dies. As it dies and it falls down back into the USJ, causing a huge crater, but also killing it instantly. Izuku flies down, slowly, not trying to burn his suit off since his cape has a sentimental value to him. As he flies back down, and everybody looks at him like a savior. Shigaraki sees this as he just dips out, saying that it's too much, and this kid seems to be a real problem for them, as he seems to have an amazing quirk, and All For One might want this. As he leaves with Kirigiri's help, as eventually not before getting shot in the kneecaps and hitting the stanky leg by Snipe. So we see that they dip out, and some of the villains, do get captured like original, as Ida was able to still get out there pretty fast because Deku was dealing with the Nomu, and All Might, for plot reasons, showed up a little bit later. So we see how All Might shows up, seeing that the Nomu was taken care of, and seeing that Izuku flies back down as Izuku passes out as everybody rushes towards his help, including All Might. All Might picks up with Deku and tells him, "Are you okay, son?" trying to wake him up, but Deku's cold out. He gets switched to about 2 days later, as Izuku wakes up from a small little comatose state. Izuku wakes up as he's confused on where he is, but he looks around and he sees that he's in a hospital. As Recovery Girl basically wakes him up, saying that we helped you out as much as we could, but it seems like your quirk gives you a type of small level of regeneration abilities. So you healed pretty quickly. Even with the help of us, you healed incredibly quickly, like nothing even happened to you. But I would suggest you staying down because it might still be a little bit of internal bleeding that will go away in a couple hours maybe. Izuku gets up and just props himself up against the pillows in the hospital bed and tries to talk to him about what's going on. And is everybody else safe? As he says that you saved a lot of lives that day and you took down that big villain. So basically All Might walks into the room telling Recovery Girl to leave them be, as Muriel also follows behind All Might. As Muriel and All Might start to talk to him, telling him that the scientist and all the scientists basically looked at the Nomu, saying that the Nomu's strength was incredibly powerful and it was imbued with multiple different quirk signatures. So for you to take it down was an incredible feat. And All Might even says himself, the type of powers they told me the Nomu had, he was even doubting if he could take it down. Even if he was in his prime, he could still take it down, but it would still be a huge problem for him. Saying that Deku might be the best next greatest hero to come to their generation. But Miriam just jumping in saying that, I don't know about that. Still, I'm the successor of One for All. And I don't know about you, but we're going to be rivals. And I'm going to become the #1 hero. And Deku scoffs saying, well, I guess I am going to become the #1 hero too. As they chuckle together and they do a handshake, or basically their handshake they've been working on for like months because they're trained together doing the 9-month arc training. As they start to talk a little bit, as All Might leaves them be, as they start to talk and basically talk about what's going on and how their lives are doing and blah 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 blah. Eventually Izuku gets visited by Momo, actually, as Momo tells him, "Are you okay?" And she heard about what hospital you were at by your mom, as they just wanted to check up on you. As some of the other students in class, when they check up on him alongside Kirishima, because he did save his life a little bit, as he does say that I kind of helped you out, didn't I? As Deku says, yeah, I guess you did. And Bakugo walks in behind everybody and basically says, thank you. You saved my life, nerd. As he walks away, as Deku just gets up saying, you're welcome, Kachan, as he walks out the room. As Deku just tells everybody else that, are you guys okay? And are any of you guys, okay? This was a really traumatic experience we all went through. As they say, we're okay. We should be asking you, are you okay, Deku? As Deku says, I'm okay. I'm fine. And honestly, I feel like you could just get out of this hospital bed right now. But them saying, no, you gotta relax. You just took a huge beating. And people are saying you flew out of the atmosphere. Izuku said, I guess I did. People said I don't think anybody in the entirety of Quirks, coming from Ida, I don't think anybody in the entirety of Quirks have ever been able to fly out of the atmosphere with their quirk, keeping themselves in one piece and surviving. You saved us all, Izuku. As Izuku says, I guess I did. But my friends were in help. My friends were in danger, and I needed to save them. So, what happened is Izuku walks out of the hospital room, or walks out of the hospital a couple days later, as he basically gets ready to go home. He meets up with his mom at the hospital area as she picks him up as he drive back home, as Deku's dad is also home, as he basically talks to them as he got off from the basically airport a few minutes ago saying that I just wanted to check up on my son. Are you okay? We did talk a little bit as the next couple days, because they had a week off, because let's just say the damage and the emotional trauma that was put on everybody, seeing their friend get absolutely brutalized and seeing Bakugo literally almost get his head crushed in or absolutely kabooshed, basically changed a lot of things and butterfly effect. So what would happen is they would have about, like, let's say 5 days off. As the next couple days, Izuku would just be chilling with his parents and having a fun time. But from afar, watching from the shadows, a figure with red eyes and long black hair would have been watching Izuku from afar these next couple days, testing now if he actually is strong as they say, and seeing who called him for this job. Because they also gave him extra information about Izuku Midoriya, the Kryptonian. I'm gonna leave it up here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. Part 4 will have a lot more of the emotional trauma I was talking about, and a lot more of the let's just say ships, because I've been off my emotional, like, romantic type of feeling and type of touch on these videos. Let's just say Izuku's romance in this continuity will be a lot more, and let's just say he'll have multiple type of relationships, heartbreak, and a lot of just emotional stuff that would change Izuku's character. And I'm going to be pushing Izuku's character development harder than ever, because right now Deku's character is like right near his original character doing this continuity, but a little bit, let's say a little bit more like mixed with Clark Kent's type of personality. So I leave it up here, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.